The cameras flashed, the crowd froze, and just like that, reality TV had a brand new, completely unexpected obsession. Danielle Olivera shares emotional update about her baby. And suddenly, the whole internet is just holding its breath.
It really is one of those moments that makes everyone stop and pay attention.
Welcome to Starscope Report. I am Jordan.
And I am Jamie.
Join us as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And today, we are doing a deep dive into a story that honestly is just so raw and real.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, imagine you were 28 weeks pregnant. You have just had a perfectly routine, reassuring medical checkup. It is a typical Friday night. You sit down to eat a couple of pizzas with your partner, maybe, shoot a quick, lighthearted video for social media about eating for two.
Right, just totally normal stuff.
Exactly. You have this entire timeline mapped out in your head. The nursery needs painting, the hospital bag needs packing, the baby shower is still weeks away, and then suddenly, without any warning, that entire script is completely torn to shreds.
That abrupt transition from the mundane to a medical emergency is, it's one of the most destabilizing experiences a human being can endure. You go from debating pizza toppings to riding in the back of a speeding ambulance. You are entirely stripped of your agency.
Today, our mission is to unpack this sudden, deeply emotional journey of reality TV star Danielle Olivera and her partner Eoin Heavey, who just welcomed their first child 10 weeks early.
We are pulling from a massive stack of entertainment articles, Instagram updates, and news reports tracking what was undoubtedly a harrowing weekend for this family.
And even if you have never watched a single episode of Bravo Summer House or their new series in the city, you really need to lean in. This is a fundamentally human story. It is about how life's most terrifying curveballs can instantly vaporize all the trivial manufactured drama we consume.
Yeah, replacing it with raw vulnerability and a desperate need for genuine community.
Definitely. Oh, and if you are loving these Hollywood twists and deep dives, make sure you are subscribed. We have got even crazier stories ahead.
We really do. And this one forces us to examine the psychological mechanisms at play when the polished, carefully curated veneer of reality television just completely shatters.
Let us look at the sheer velocity of this timeline, because the pacing is, well, it is what I cannot wrap my head around. It's like a massive plot twist that no screenwriter could have paced better. We start with Danielle's Instagram carousel, posted on June 25th.
Yeah, she shows off her 28-week bump. She looks glowing, happy.
And there's this photo of 2 pizzas. She jokes in the caption that she had absolutely no idea this would be the last meal she would have before giving birth.
Think about the psychological weight of that pizza photo. It represents the final anchor to normalcy. In a typical pregnancy, the brain has months to incrementally process the monumental shift of bringing a life into the world.
You have a runway.
Exactly, you have a runway. That photo is the exact moment the runway disappeared.
It vanished completely because according to the timeline, severe contractions began just hours later at 10 p.m. on Friday. By 3 a.m., they are rushing into the emergency room in Southampton.
It is just incredibly fast.
And here's where I need you to clarify something for me. Because she was only 28 weeks along, the doctors at Southampton immediately transferred her by ambulance to Stony Brook Medicine, which is a specialized facility. Why could not a standard, well-equipped emergency room just handle a premature delivery?
Well, the biological reality of the 28-week fetus is incredibly fragile. It requires an environment that a standard hospital simply cannot simulate.
So it's not just about having good doctors on call.
No, not at all. At 28 weeks, a baby's lungs lack a crucial substance called surfactant. Think of surfactant as like the chemical soap that keeps the tiny air sacs in the lungs from sticking together and collapsing every time you exhale.
Oh, wow. So without it, the baby physically cannot breathe on its own.
Exactly. Furthermore, the blood vessels in a premature brain are so delicate that the stress of delivery can easily cause severe hemorrhaging. Southampton recognized that this wasn't just an early birth. It was a highly complex medical crisis, requiring a level 3 or neonatal intensive care unit.
So they aren't just moving her for better doctors, they are moving her because they literally need the infrastructure of an artificial womb.
Precisely. Stony Brook has the specialized ventilators, the artificial surfactant therapies, and the neurologist required to keep a micropreemie alive. That ambulance ride wasn't just transport. It was a desperate race to get Danielle to a facility that could manually take over the biological functions her body was no longer providing.
That is wild.
And consider the psychological toll on the parents during that ride. Premature labor forces and immediate, brutal surrender of control. You go from being the author of your own family planning to being a terrified bystander.
I try to put myself in that ambulance, and the feeling of helplessness is just suffocating. You think you have 12 weeks left to prepare, and suddenly you have 12 hours.
It is terrifying.
And this ordeal didn't end quickly either. After arriving at Stony Brook, she endured another 24 hours of labor before doctors finally had to perform an emergency C-section.
Which just compounds the physical exhaustion with an excruciating waiting game. Every hour in that hospital bed is an hour spent contemplating worst-case scenarios, operating on zero sleep, and facing a surgical intervention that carries its own severe risks.
Yeah, and that is not even the wildest part. Later in the deep dive, we will talk about the shocking twist nobody saw coming from her Bravo castmates.
You definitely don't want to miss that.
But from that harrowing 24-hour whirlwind, we pivot to the arrival of the baby. Baby Aidan Santos Heavey was born on June 21st, 2026. Eoin pointed out a profound detail in his updates about that date.
Oh, the Father's Day detail, right?
Yes. He noted that this specific date was Father's Day, and it was also the summer solstice, the longest day of the year. He wrote that it was the longest day, both solstice-wise and for Mom and Dad.
Humans are naturally pattern-seeking creatures, especially in the aftermath of trauma. Our brains look for meaning to anchor our suffering. Pointing out the synchronicity of Father's Day and the solstice is a way of organizing a chaotic, uncontrollable event into a narrative that feels destined rather than random.
The name they chose feels like a major part of that narrative building, too. Eoin shared that the name Aidan translates to fiery one or bringer of fire.
I love the meaning behind that.
He explicitly stated this was a direct tribute to Danielle's incredible strength during the ordeal. Naming the child after the mother's resilience during his terrifying birth is such a powerful way to reclaim the story.
It permanently encodes her survival into his identity. Instead of looking at their son and only remembering the terror of the emergency room, the name serves as a daily, auditory reminder of her fortitude. It is a psychological anchor.
But the reality of Aidan's condition is incredibly daunting. Being 10 weeks premature, they shared that he will spend his first 2 to 3 months in the NICU.
Which is a very long time to be in that kind of environment.
And this brings me to a public update that I honestly struggled to understand at first. Eoin posts a photo holding a beer glass that reads, "Promoted to Dad."
Yeah, I saw that post.
Right. And in the caption, he jokes that Aidan is heading to summer camp at NICU for a few months. But in that exact same caption, he admits he was a nervous, terrified, sobbing mess. I have to push back here.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, if I were in a situation where my newborn was wired up to machines fighting for his life, I would be paralyzed. Why lean into comedy? Is this blend of humor and extreme vulnerability just a polished PR move to keep the brand lighthearted?
I get why it looks that way, but look past the surface of the joke and consider the neurobiology of trauma. What you are seeing is not PR. It is a textbook vital psychological defense mechanism called cognitive reframing.
Cognitive reframing?
Yeah. When a parent sees their 10-week premature baby in an incubator, their amygdala, the brain's fear center, floods the body with cortisol and adrenaline. The brain physically cannot sustain that peak level of panic for the 3 months Aidan will be in the hospital. It would lead to a total psychological collapse.
Oh, I see. So the humor is basically a biological life raft.
It is the brain's pressure valve. By calling the terrifying, sterile, alarm-filled NICU a summer camp, Eoin is attempting to domesticate a hostile environment. He's trying to take the machinery of life support and linguistically transform it into a normal, albeit unusual, childhood rite of passage.
That is a fascinating way to look at it.
And admitting he was a sobbing mess alongside the joke is what makes this so profoundly human. It shows the fracture between the terror they're experiencing and the brave face they are forcing themselves to wear to survive it.
That reframing makes so much sense when you look at the first photo Danielle shared of Aidan. It's a raw, black and white image of them looking down at him in the incubator. You can see the medical tape, the wires, the complete fragility of the situation.
It's a very striking image.
She captioned it, "Worth every second," and "Ready for our biggest adventure yet." She is looking directly at the terrifying machinery of the NICU and choosing to label it an adventure.
Because the alternative is despair. And there is a sociological layer here that we cannot ignore. The NICU is the ultimate democratizer. Fame, wealth, and Instagram followers hold absolutely zero currency inside those walls.
That is so true.
A reality television star and a high school teacher face the exact same powerlessness when standing over an incubator.
Fame cannot buy lung development.
It cannot force an immature digestive system to process nutrients, and it cannot speed up the clock. In an ecosystem where celebrities usually buy their way out of inconvenience, the NICU forces an immediate, humbling collision with human biology.
Which perfectly sets up the massive ripple effect this event had on their public life. To really understand the impact, we need to look at the reality TV ecosystem they inhabit.
Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next, because this part of the story is wild.
It really is. Prior to this emergency, the narrative surrounding Danielle and Eoin was steeped in drama. During the first season of In the City, Danielle faced intense criticism from her co-stars. The main storyline was gossip about how fast their relationship was moving, heavily fueled by the fact that Eoin was in the middle of a divorce when they started dating.
They only announced this pregnancy on May 15th, right?
Exactly. The environment they operated in was entirely transactional. Reality television relies on a formula of manufactured conflict, whispered judgments, and hyper-curated personas designed to trigger dopamine hits in the audience.
But the moment Aidan was born, that entire formula just collapsed.
The Bravoverse immediately rallied. Co-star Andrea Denver, who is part of that same dramatic ecosystem, publicly called the baby a little fighter and praised Danielle's strength. Castmates like Lexi Sundin and Yvonne Nager poured in support.
It's a complete 180 from the usual reality TV dynamics.
And, incredibly, there's a baby boom happening within the cast. Lexi, who is married to Andrea, and Yvonne are both currently pregnant. They are all due around the same time as Danielle's original due date.
Think about how that shared experience completely rewires the social dynamics of the cast.
It's like pausing a professional wrestling match because someone in the ring actually got hurt, and suddenly everyone drops the act and is just human. The audience knows the feuds are amplified for entertainment, the wrestlers know it, but the moment a real, uncontrollable medical crisis occurs, the script is thrown out the window.
That wrestling analogy highlights the fragility of the fourth wall perfectly.
The petty grievances about who said what at a dinner party instantly evaporate because they are faced with life or death stakes.
Exactly. When biological trauma enters an artificial environment, it acts as a clarifying agent. The cast members aren't interacting as rivals anymore. They're interacting as terrified peers.
Especially considering the other pregnancies in the cast.
Right. The empathy is driven by a visceral realization that this could easily happen to any of them. The neurochemistry of their interactions shifts from cortisol-driven conflict to oxytocin-driven bonding.
And that bonding wasn't just limited to the cast. The relationship with the fans underwent a radical transformation too. Danielle explicitly posted a thank you to her followers who were sharing their own NICU journeys with her.
That kind of fan connection is so rare.
She said that reading those messages in her darkest moments gave her hope and proved they are thankfully not alone. I am fascinated by this shift.
It demands that we look at the mechanics of parasocial relationships. Usually, the dynamic between a reality star and a viewer is a one-way mirror. The viewer watches to judge, to consume the drama, to feel a sense of superiority or escapism.
The celebrity is just a product.
But when Danielle shared the terrifying reality of the incubator, she shattered that one-way mirror. Fans aren't just consumers of drama anymore.
They transitioned from spectators to a vital peer support network.
Viewers who have sat in those same hard plastic chairs, listening to the same terrifying monitor alarms in their local NICU, suddenly see Danielle not as a character on a screen, but as a fellow mother in the trenches.
Shared trauma creates a bridge that manufactured PR could never build.
The conversation shifts from gossip about Eoin's divorce to raising awareness about the emotional toll of the NICU.
The isolation of a medical emergency is so profound. You are surrounded by doctors, but nobody in the room is feeling the specific parental terror that you are.
Yeah, it's incredibly lonely.
For Danielle to reach through her phone and find thousands of women who can say, I know exactly how that specific monitor beep sounds and my kid made it out okay, that is a lifeline.
It is the utilization of a massive public platform to crowdsource hope. It fundamentally changes the social contract between the influencer and the influenced.
It makes you rethink everything we assume about the shallowness of social media. When the chips are truly down, the network can actually function as a safety net.
It's a beautiful way a medical emergency replaced reality TV conflict with genuine human compassion.
Let's bring all these threads together. We have traced the sheer, terrifying unpredictability of Danielle and Eoin's 24-hour journey. We started with the illusion of control over a Friday night pizza, moved through the biological crisis that necessitated a high-speed transfer to Stony Brook, and looked at the brutal reality of an emergency C-section.
We explored the incredible psychological fortitude required to navigate the NICU, dissecting how defense mechanisms like humor and cognitive reframing are essential survival tools when a parent is faced with prolonged ambiguity.
And we witnessed how this event brought up deep, empathetic human compassion among both the cast and the viewers at home. Think about your own life for a moment. Think about the plans you have mapped out for the next 3 months. We walk around with this inherent assumption that we are the authors of our own timeline.
But the truth is, biology and circumstance always hold the pen. Life inevitably goes off script. And when that sudden pivot occurs, the only thing that dictates our survival is the strength of our support systems.
Whether that is the brilliant specialized medical staff at a level 3 NICU, a partner who can find a sliver of humor in the darkness, or a community of complete strangers who have walked that identical, terrifying path before you.
It really puts everything into perspective.
Which leaves us with a final, provocative thought to chew on. Reality stars make their living by documenting their lives for our entertainment. That is the agreed-upon transaction. But when you are forced to document your most terrifying, vulnerable, out-of-control moment in real time, how does that fundamentally change your relationship with the people watching?
It completely rewrites the rules.
If it were you placed in that impossible, terrifying situation, standing over a tangle of wires and medical tape, would you share your NICU journey with the world to find that desperate sense of community, or would you retreat entirely into silence to protect your fragile reality?
It is a question that really makes you stop and think.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining. Next time you sit down on a Friday night with a pizza, maybe just take a second to deeply appreciate the quiet, the boring, and the predictable. Because as we've learned today, the script can flip in a matter of hours. Take care, everyone.